Plus, junk bond king Michael Milken is out of jail.
And state water officials warn the drought is not over in spite of the winter storms. Prime News is next.
Care.
Hi, this is Fred Savage, and you're watching Action 36, KICU TV, home of the Wonder Years, weeknights at
10. Now, Action 36 Prime News with Pete Liebengood and Michelle Blaine, Steve Paulson with weather, and Robert Bronstein on sports.
Old Man Winter takes an icy grip on Northern California, freezing water, pipes, and roadways. Good evening. The cold winter weather continues to make headlines tonight. The latest storm to slam into the Northern California has claimed the lives of 2 Bay Area residents over the weekend. Police say Christopher Zeider of Portola Valley and Isaac Goodkind of Santa Clara died of hypothermia after becoming trapped in deep powder on ungroomed trails while snowboarding at Homewood Ski Resort. State officials say Lake Tahoe had its snowiest December in a decade. The Tahoe area received twice the amount of normal precipitation, but a state climatologist warns that the drought is far from over. The Tahoe snowpack is 154% of normal, but it would take 2 straight years of 200% to erase the deficit of the drought.
So how long will the cold spell last? That's the question. Steve Paulson has the latest. Steve.
Okay, let's take a look at, we will in our next segment show you some local low temperatures, but we thought we'd impress you first with some from the Sierra Nevada. In the central Sierra Nevada, Bridgeport, 29 below. Truckee, a little bit warmer, 15 below. Even Bodie State Park, 5 below. Markleyville, great fishing over in that vicinity, 2 below, but not right now. They're all frozen, all the lakes. In Tahoe City, 1 above. Back home, the main story will be a polar jet dropping down from the north and tropical jet coming in from the south. It's a big mess. We'll do our best to smooth it all over and talk about potential heavy rain coming up soon. Pete?
Thank you, Steve. Black ice on Bay Area roads is causing havoc for drivers in the Santa Cruz Mountains last night. A patch of ice is being blamed for a fatal spin-out. The accident on Highway 17 claimed the life of a Campbell man and left a San Jose woman in serious condition. As Captain Kamiji reports, the morning commute was not much better.
Despite the delays and the closure of the right lane, most Santa Cruz Mountain residents were glad to see Caltrans crews on Highway 17 early this morning.
Because cars were skidding down here just repeatedly, just bang, 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 and there wasn't any sand on the road.
Especially after a storm, you get a lot of moisture in the air. When the temp drops below freezing, it'll form.
The thing about black ice is it can show up anywhere where cold air and moisture have joined forces, and drivers are unaware of what lies beneath their tires.
The black ice, you just need to slow way down. Even though the speed limit is 50 miles an hour up here, probably the safe speed limit is 30, 35 miles an hour when the roadway's like this.
The average speed at one point during the morning commute was 5 miles per hour.
It isn't fun. I just make the most of it, listen to the news, catch up on maybe paperwork.
Kind of slippery out this morning. Carolyn Barton just came home last night after being snowed in for a week in Tahoe.
Oh, there's quite a bit of snow on the top. When we left Tahoe, it was about, it's probably about 2 below. And so when we got home last night, it was, I don't know what it was up here, but it was cold. We could notice as we came up the mountain in the car gets colder and colder and colder, you know.
The 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake is also partly to blame. An underground spring was uncapped and now squirts water onto the road. The cold weather produces black ice and deadly driving conditions.
Don't get on your brakes, get off of your brakes, and try to steer in the direction the car is going. Try to steer out of it. And once you start slowing down, tap your brakes lightly.
While the going was slow, drivers throughout the morning were thankful road crews kept at least one lane of the road open and safe. In the Santa Cruz Mountains, Catherine Kamiji, Action 36 Prime News.
CHP officials want to remind motorists to be especially cautious at night when black ice is even harder to spot. Cold temperatures are expected again tonight. Now, if you are driving, here are some tips from the CHP. If you see puddles on the road under an overpass or a tree, chances are it's ice. You'll want to slow down. Take your foot off the gas pedal. Do not step on the brake. If you do step on the brake, your tires could lock up and you could go into a spin. If you do find yourself in a spin, stay calm, don't panic, don't overcorrect your steering or apply the brakes, ride out the skid, and if you go off the road, even if you go off the road, and always, always Now that it's the law, you have to wear your seatbelt.
And the first thing you always hear the CHP say, you hear it almost daily in the last few weeks, slow down is number one. Yeah, so there you have it. How slow is our evening commute on a Monday? That's Joyce Jefferson's category. Joyce.
Well, Pete, on the freeways, not too bad tonight. Southbound 280 moving well through Cupertino and San Jose. Southbound 101, although it was very heavy and slow through Sunnyvale and Santa Clara earlier in the commute, it is currently moving very well into the San Jose area. There is an injury accident on San Jose City streets. Police and paramedics are on the scene. 8 vehicles involved blocking the intersection of Meridian Avenue at Branham Lane. Probably a good area to avoid. Pete, Linda, back to you.
All right, thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Joyce.
Well, if you're planning on taking the bus, better double-check the new schedules. Dozens, if not hundreds, of bus riders in Santa Clara County had to rearrange their route schedules today.
Pete, the county's budget crunch has forced a 10% cut in transportation services, and it's all of those cuts, as Diana Yee will tell us, began today.
And we turn to Diana live. Where are you?
Well, Pete and Linda, we are at one of 2 bus yards, bus maintenance yards in San Jose. This is called the Cerrone Division on Zanker Road. This bus maintenance yard has not been shut down, but the one in San Martin, a smaller bus yard, has been shut down to save $1.5 million a year. Some of the buses from that bus yard are now being stationed here at the Cerrone Division. This is just one of many cost-cutting measures being taken because of county budget cuts, and even bus riders are feeling the pinch.
The county transportation system is $26 million in the hole. To compensate, it's eliminated several bus lines and cut dozens of routes. Bus riders like Todd Monroe, who depend heavily on public transit, says the cuts are very inconvenient.
I would have to take the 26 to the prune yard and take the 62 to the end of the line at Piedmont Hills and take the 71 towards Eastridge.
A lot more running around.
Yeah, a lot more running around, a lot more, time-consuming.
More than 70 bus lines have been cut back, and almost all of them are affected in some way. At many bus stops, the wait will be longer. Instead of running every 10 to 15 minutes, they'll run every 20 to 30 minutes or more.
Cuts are different this year. We have cut those services or those trips on the buses that carry the fewest amount of people. We did that last year, so of course this time the cuts are going a little bit deeper.
Transportation officials agree that cuts will push many commuters back into their cars, especially at a time when they've been trying to encourage people to take mass transit. Smith says, unfortunately, they have no choice.
Our fare box returns are down. We have added costs through the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, where we've had to do a lot of upgrades and improvements. So we do have to do this.
A total of 8 bus lines have been discontinued. During the weekdays, they include the 35M, Menlo Park Caltrain to San Antonio Shopping Center, the 42, Lawrence Caltrain to Santa Clara Industrial Park, the 83, Tamian Light Rail to Good Samaritan Hospital, the 84, Palo Alto Caltrain to San Antonio Shopping Center, the 123, East San Jose Express to Lockheed, the 126, Winchester Boulevard Express to Lockheed, and the 502, South County Express to Civic Center. The 83 has also been canceled on the weekends.
There are so many different changes that we are encouraging people to call in the information line if they don't know, to check on their lines or their buses before they actually go up to the bus stop.
Well, here's a number you can call if you need information on some of the buses that have been cut. It's area code 408-321-2300. And I'm also told that some of the heavy commute bus lines are safe from the cuts. And if you want some information, you can also find these kinds of pamphlets on the buses. They will show you exactly which services have been discontinued, which ones have been changed, which lines have been cut back. And about 250 people have lost their jobs, or 200 positions have been cut. Some of those positions were vacant. The county hopes to save about $9.5 million from all these cuts. Pete and Linda, back to you.
So still a long way to go toward that $26 million deficit.
That's right.
More cuts?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The possibility of more cuts in personnel?
Well, there's the county bus service is facing a $26 million budget deficit. They trimmed some of the bus lines last year, and they're doing it again this year. So if the recession keeps on and, the county faces budget deficits, it looks like we may see more.
Thank you, Diane.
That's good. Okay, thank you, Diana. Still ahead, the man called one of the junk bond kings leaves his California prison. Convicted child murderer Wesley Allen Dodd is living what could be his final hour.
And a controversial ship carrying nearly 2 tons of deadly plutonium is headed for a Japanese nuclear plant. We'll have that story.
My family and my friends make me very happy.
Peace and being very healthy, too.
Seeing other people happy.
Job satisfaction, recognition, and family.
Sunny day.
Being alive, breathing air. That's what makes me happy.
My family and having freedom.
Main thing, being healthy.
Kevin Delgran's 5-star Albert Mazda says Happy New Year with incredible deals. Like the beautiful 1992 Protege, loaded with extras like AM/FM cassette, power steering, tilt wheel, tachometer, intermittent wipers, and more in plan. Start the new year in a beautiful new Mazda from Kevin Delgran's 5-star Albert Mazda.
Convicted murderer Wesley Allen Dodd is scheduled for execution in the state of Washington in less than 5 hours. Dodd is to be hanged for the sex slayings of 3 children, now that the Washington Supreme Court ruled hanging is constitutional. Dodd chose hanging, but religious groups, doctors, and others filed suit to have it declared cruel and unusual. Dodd said he chose that method over lethal injection because he hanged his youngest victim's body in a closet after killing him. Dodd said he must die because he says he will kill again. This will be the nation's first hanging in 27 years. The man credited with inventing the market for high-risk, high-yield junk bonds in the 80s is now living in a halfway house following his release from federal prison camp. Michael Milken, whose bonds funded corporate takeovers, served 22 months at the camp in Pleasanton after pleading guilty to 6 felonies. He will spend 2 months at the halfway house and 3 years in community service. Milken had been sentenced to 10 years, but his time was later cut as a reward for cooperation with government investigators.
San Jose Police Department is armed with a new weapon tonight. Officers are replacing mace with a now lethal alternative, a fluorescent capsicum of the OC spray. The spray contains a 10% concentration of cayenne pepper, 50% distilled water, and alcohol. The substance was approved by the EPA and the California Department of Justice last August, but San Jose Police become the first police department in the Bay Area to train officers and make the switch to OC spray.
Will disable an assailant. There are many instances repeatedly in which officers are attacked, and hopefully this will help them in terms of preventing injury and preventing the need to escalate to a higher level of force.
The effects of the OC spray, although immediate, are not long-lasting or permanent. Officers say they disappear in less than a half hour. First aid treatment is water, fresh air, and time. Police warn that the cayenne pepper spray has only been approved for law enforcement. Anyone else carrying the substance will be charged with a felony. A plutonium-carrying Japanese freighter is making waves with environmentalists. The ship, which is reported to be carrying enough plutonium to make 200 nuclear weapons, has docked about 70 miles northeast of Tokyo after a 2-month-long voyage from France. Environmental activists protested in Tokyo outside the government office that's responsible for nuclear policy. Japanese officials say plutonium offers Japan its only hope for a renewable energy supply. Critics worry the plutonium will be stockpiled and used to make nuclear weapons. Steve Paulson is back now, and you said it was all complicated and you'd unwind it, so we're counting on you.
Do our best, Pete. Potential Santa Cruz Mountains for heavy rain. Very heavy rain. It could be a big go or a big bust. One of these type of situations, the first one in a while that we've really had to work a little overtime on and try and come up with a good forecast, and we'll tell you what's going on next.
Well, last year my husband dragged me and the kids to the Thunder Nationals. It was a ball. We're going back.
Have you ever been to one of these things? It's incredible. These trucks fly.
The Northern California GMC truck dealers present the U.S. Hot Rod, Camel, and Monster Truck Racing Championship for the first time. Friday and Sunday, all kids half price. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Oakland Coliseum.
Jane Fonda is a psychologist who must uncover a terrible truth.
A baby.
The answers aren't always easy.
Then give me a reasonable explanation. A miracle is an event without an explanation. To you.
Meg Tilly, Anne Bancroft, and Jane Fonda star in Agnes of God, Tonight at 8 on Action 36 KICU Television.